So my mom finds these great deals on the internet here. And I guess this is the Everlasting Comfort Company. So this is by INTERTEK. And they have an email address, but someone has come and cut out a sticker and put a new email address over the original one. But my mom probably got a great deal on this, and it was advertised on one of the big websites like Amazon. And so it's a humidifier. It looks like that, and you just fill this part up with water, and that sits in there, and the water goes inside. It gets heated up, and then it comes up through there, and it goes out like that in a steam. So after adding bleach to the area where the water shoots up, you could see this plastic dissolving here. It's some sort of plastic or maybe a glue or adhesive, and it's reacting to the bleach. It's dissolving, and it looks like that. So this has been coming off for about 3 or 4 days now. I added bleach and water to the whole thing, all in this whole area. And now I just poured bleach right here because there's still residue stuck to the surface there. And it looks like a resin or a plastic or something like that. But anyway, I had just taken this, I rinsed it out with water, and I used it when I first got it, and my nose started to bleed. So whatever they put in here is some chemical that gets into the air and causes your nose to start to bleed. And so this stuff keeps on bubbling out from the middle here. So I've been doing this for like 2 or 3 days in a row, and it keeps on doing that. So it's coming from this outer ring right here. And in this area, it keeps on melting off some sort of waxy thing around this gasket. So this has been coming off for about 3 or 4 days now, whenever I add more bleach. So whatever that is, may be what's causing nosebleeds to occur. My nose felt like it had a bunch of cuts inside my nasal passageway. This is a Ninja blender that I also got as a gift that was shipped to my house. And it comes with the cylinder with 6 razor sharp blades attached to it. So when I first got this, I decided to try it out. So I began to wash the blender, and I ended up cutting my hand. So I quickly decided that this was a very dangerous thing to have in the kitchen, especially since my daughters were approaching the age when they like to use the blender to make their own smoothies and milkshakes and things. This is not something that you want anyone to use, let alone children. This razor cylinder will also fall out when you go to raise the blender all the way up, like when you are pouring something out that you've just blended. So this could cause additional problems. So it's amazing that something like this would be designed and then pass inspection to be mass marketed and then sent into stores. I received this as a gift around September of 2017, and I've still seen this in stores in Keene, New Hampshire, almost 2 years later in August of 2019. And it looks like the exact same model. So I guess the Ninja Death Blender is a big hit around areas like Keene, New Hampshire. And I just wanted to do the conclusion to this video, which is that I bought a tomato plant at Home Depot. It said hybrid tomato plant on it, but it said large red tomatoes, good for this, that, and the other thing. But as you can see, the hybrid gave me these purple tomatoes, and they're not big tomatoes, they're like a bunch of little cherry tomatoes. So when I got it in like middle of June, I'd say, the plant was like maybe 1.5 feet high, 2 feet high. And now at the beginning of September, good as they get right here, they get like this purple red look on like half of them. So that half is black and that half is red. And I spoke to a family member, and she said that they're often called heirloom tomatoes, and they have different colors. But I really don't want to eat a dark purple or black tomato on a salad, and when I buy a plant this is large tomatoes, I don't want a bunch of little cherry tomatoes grown. So this is a GMO. This is a genetically modified organism. It's a hybrid, and obviously it's a big screw up here for them to produce tomatoes like this. And they did market hybrid, but they said it would grow large red tomatoes. So I guess this is why people don't like GMOs. Here, one fell off here. They're a little bit purple on the inside too. I guess they're mostly red though. But I'll cut one in half in a little bit. Alright, today is September 20th of 2017. And like I said, I wanted to do the conclusion to this video about these hybrid tomatoes from Home Depot. So I just found this tag that I did not notice before when I planted them. They had a larger tag on the pot that I saw, and it just said hybrid tomato, and they had a picture of a giant red tomato on it. And it said like good for salad, sandwiches, that sort of thing. So now I find this tag here that says indigo rose hybrid tomato, and they do show that part of it is purple, and they said maturity is 70 to 80 days after planting. So I bought it in a pot at Home Depot, and I planted it around the middle of June, and now it is about 90 days later, the middle of September. So it's at its full maturity now. And as I showed you before, some of the tomatoes were more red, and so when I cut one and ate it, it tasted like a plum. So this hybrid tomato, I believe, is a hybrid of a tomato and a plum, as in a regular plum that you eat, a purple plum fruit that you eat. So it had a real odd taste to it. And I don't know too much about growing fruit or these genetically modified organisms, but maybe some of you will like to look into this and find out if it's dangerous to introduce some of these things into the environment. So these were the more ripe ones, I guess, with this last batch of tomatoes here. They're a little red, a little part of it, and if you bite into them, they taste a little bit like a plum. So I don't think anybody was buying this, the indigo rose. So most likely the management at Home Depot decided to attach a large tag to the top of these plants that misadvertised them as a plant that produced large red tomatoes. So this is a shower curtain, and what I noticed is that all over the shower it looked like red soap or red wax. And I couldn't figure out why this red wax was in the shower. And I thought back and I realized that it had started happening after I changed the shower liner. So I kept the old one as a drop cloth. So I put the old one back on, and I put this in bleach and water. And after one day, the places where the shower rings fit into began to rust. And as these corrosive metals begin to rust, it appears that quite often they're releasing some sort of wax. It's some sort of chemical reaction that resembles some sort of wax. And in this case, it's red. So you can see the red wax over here. And over here. And you can see where I folded it up, you got this red circular stain, the same as where the shower rings fit into. So it's obviously coming out of there. So it creates a chemical reaction, and then this wax will spread all over the bathroom. And my guess, like most other things the CIA uses, it's to hurt you, and it attacks your respiratory or nervous system.